Whew, good evening, folks. I'm super late, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Stuart Davis. I'm a flawed man of God. I'm a deacon at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. I'm not trying to get you to join my church. I'm not trying to get you to donate to any special cause. I'm not a pastor. I haven't been to seminary. I'm not a biblical scholar. What I'm here to do is talk about Christian issues and give you kind of an insight into the mind of a layperson, a average, everyday Christian, just trying to go through life and put everything through the lens of my faith. And if you're looking for something to go to kind of get insights, if you're interested in starting a relationship with Christ or learning more about what the Christian faith is all about, welcome. Welcome. This channel was initially presented for because specifically to you. So tune in and try to get what you can out of this. Ask questions, give me your thoughts and feedback. That would be great. I'd appreciate it. If you just like tuning in to hear Christian discussions and want to participate and give us, your thoughts on what's going on in the Christian world today, also welcome. This channel is for Christianity. This channel is made for God. And so that's what the topics are going to be. And that's what I want to hear from you guys about. With that said, man, I feel like I haven't streamed in like a year. And I've only been here since Thursday. And just feels like it's been a long time. And I miss it. I miss it. So it's good to be back. But I am late, super late tonight. Got held up. Family always comes first, and so making sure that kids get tucked in and told that they are loved and issues get ironed out. That's always the best thing. That's always the priority when it comes to running your household, so that your children know that you care about them. Care about them more than putting yourself in front of a video camera. No matter how much my son wants to be a YouTuber when he grows up. But that said, things are going well, but it's been so long. I totally forgot what I wanted to stream about tonight. I felt like I had something in mind, but I don't know. So we're going to go back to the biblical reading until such time happens that I remember. So we were in Numbers, and what we had going on with Numbers last week was Balaam and Balaam's donkey, and Balaam basically being, the bearer of news to the Midianites. We're going to find out in a second. I'm going to go back and I'm going to pull it up. Just Canaanite issues, right? But understanding, here we go. Understanding what happened, that the Israelites are coming in mass. There's a lot of them out there, right? And they're all, it's like a horde. And that makes rulers rightfully nervous, especially when they hear that there's a godly presence among them. And so, what is it? Balak, right? Balak is the king of, Amorites. Oh, of course, the Amorites, right? Said Midianites. I was wrong. But Balak of the Amorites doesn't like what he sees. He sees a lot of people heading his way, and he gets nervous. So he summons this man who we can't define as an Israelite because he's not traveling with the Israelites. He's just kind of like an old hermit, right? Out there doing hermit things. And when he approaches him, he wants blessings, and this hermit turns out to be a pretty godly man, or at least someone who has some sort of positive relationship with God, to the point where he can bless and curse, and he knows his boundaries, and those boundaries limit him to not cursing the Israelites. And what he ends up doing is blessing them, but he blesses them through God, because God gives them specific instructions to do, and he does it, and we go from there. So then they have it. I went way too far. There we go. So we have this going on, and then we kind of just leave them. Kind of leave this issue. But trust me, it's not the last. It's not the last we've heard of Balaam or Balak. And tonight we're just going to talk about Israel and more of its many problems. Israel is its own worst enemy, right? I think that's what we learn. I mean, they've got enemies, obviously, that they're when they're traveling through the wilderness, but they're dealt with pretty easily, right? You go, hey, we've got faith in God. God comes in, takes care of the problem. No more problem. Keep going through. Where do the Israelites get their issue from? The issue comes from lack of faith. Lack of faith in their own behavior. So, again, things that when when we are humble with ourselves and we understand we have this fight internally. And you hear me say it probably almost every episode that we're talking about because I'm trying to hold myself accountable in those ways. Because one of the difficult things I have in life is, you know, my certainty that my faith is real. I believe in my faith. I believe in what I say, but I'm also self-conscious about my own surety, right? Like you're so confident, but at the same time you're like, what if I'm too overconfident about things? What if I am wrong? And that's just kind of the personality I have. So faith is something that I hold very, very strongly too, but also it's kind of a double-edged sword in that respect. And so that's where that struggle comes in. And I know I'm not the only person. Sometimes people looking for Christ and come to looking for a reason why we're here and what happens when we're gone. That's not something that I know is singular to me. It's something that we all feel like in the at the dark at night when you're trying to get to bed and your mind is racing a million miles an hour. We're thinking about a bunch of different stuff. It can come up. What happens in the end, right? I have faith that when it happens in the end is what we talk about here in the Bible. That there's lots of evidence proving for it, and there's lots of people of faith to support me. But at the same time, it's just like, yeah, but there's always that nagging thing in the back of your head saying you could be wrong about all this, right? That's why it's called faith. And this is where my irritation with the Israelites is really highlighted. The Israelites shouldn't have this problem. The Israelites don't have to rely on the faith that God is there. He's right there. He's performing acts, very blatant acts right in front of them. And all they need to do is trust him. You've seen what he's done. And these aren't people that, and at this point in Israel, we're not talking about people who haven't seen God do very spectacular things in their favor. The same folks walking around in the wilderness at this point are the same folks who were there when when they left Egypt after all the plagues, after all the signs, after Passover. They walked through the Red Sea as it was parted. They got to experience the blessings of God with food and water. They've been following this man Moses. They've seen the presence. They've seen the punishment. They perform these acts of depravity at Sinai. All this stuff has happened, and they still lack faith. They still don't. They still don't act. And to me that's like just a complete slap in the face to people like you and me who wake up every day, looking for a God that can sometimes make His presence felt um, through things through life, but we don't see Him in such an overt way that they got to witness them. And look, every single one of those Israelites is lucky to be in that presence. So the blessing it would be. What a cool thing it would be to be there when God is establishing His first covenant with Moses and be in that presence as they're walking around and we're going to go wherever God tells us to go. But then they squandered that opportunity, right? And so a couple of my friends, my two Catholic buddies who've been on the show, I was talking to Joel and Raph. They were saying, hey, well, like your faith is a blessing in and of itself because you are stronger in your relationship with God because you rely on your faith. And they're saying you as a moniker for all of us who are faithful. And it's what you just got to love that when you've got brothers in Christ, brothers and sisters in Christ around you to kind of help you out when you have moments where you doubt yourself and you doubt your faith, and or doubt your own ability to keep faith. Is I guess that's the best way for me to put it. And when you have folks like that help you and support you, that's that's fellowship. That's why you need. That's why I tell people you do need church. You do need that community. You can't just be sitting out there, you know, off on your own, being a hermit. Because we see what happens. We'll find out what happens with Balaam, which will still be weird for me. It's weird for me that he has his ultimate fate the way it is. But we'll talk about that when we get there. Tonight we're going to talk about numbers, and I'm going to get into it because look, we're 10 minutes in. I'm late, and we still haven't gotten to our reading. So, chapter 25 of Numbers. Here we go. Moab seduces Israel. While Israel was staying in Shittim, I want to make jokes. While Israel was staying in Shittim, or Shittim, the men began to indulge in sexual immorality with Moabite women, who invited them to sacrifice to their gods. The people ate the sacrificial meal and bowed before these gods, so Israel yoked themselves to the Baal of Peor, and the Lord's anger burned against them. Justifiably so. Look, first off, you've got plenty of women in your tribes that you're traveling with. So they rest for a little bit. They're bivouacking out there and in this Shittim place. And what did they do? The men immediately run out. What's that line from Tommy Boy? That's when the whores come in. That's what's going on now. Men run out and immediately start, getting down to business with Moabite women. And what happens in that case? They're getting influenced. Look, we're going to find out even the most powerful of the Israelites, most righteous of the Israelites, can be brought down by this little thing, being influenced by women who are not just who not just lack a relationship with God, but have a relationship or have a commitment to things directly opposed to God. In this case, sacrifices to their gods, because that's going to make God happy. Look, you got to be a man, and maybe we can talk about the Will Smith thing and how it's an example of that. Look, that's a mess. And hopefully maybe Will Smith has hit rock bottom with the fact where feels like he needs to stand up and slap somebody much smaller than him, sucker slap somebody much smaller than him on national TV when he should be taking an award because somebody made a joke. You got to be in control, right? And I don't mean that you have to control everybody around them. You have to be, as a man who's going to lead a family, lead people, lead a church, lead a congregation, lead a business, you have to be in control of yourself first. It's one of many, or you'll hear it many times in the Bible. You have to have your own house in order. That means you have to have yourself in order before you can take care of doing anything else. And if you don't, you're not going to help anybody. And that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing Israelite men who do not have control of themselves immediately giving in to sexual immorality with women outside of the tribe. And these are women who worship Baal or a Baal, demons, we can call it that, false gods, and are enticing them to do it. And it's probably, in my mind, when I read this part, it's probably something in the lines of, they're in some sort of hedonistic orgy or, setting. And they're doing this because that's where hedonism really leads you to. So they start making these practices. They start doing these practices. And look, it's not to God. And God is a jealous God. Do not put other gods before him because they're false. So he's upset, right? Now you've pissed off God. It's not a good place to be. What does God do? The Lord says to Moses, the Lord said to Moses, take all the leaders of these people, kill them, and expose them in broad daylight before the Lord, so that the Lord's fierce anger may turn away from Israel. So Moses said to Israel's judges, each of you must put to death those of your people who have yoked themselves to the Baal of Peor. Got him. Then an Israelite man brought into the camp a Midianite woman right before the eyes of Moses and the whole assembly of Israel while they were weeping at the entrance to the tent of meeting. When Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, saw this, he left the assembly, took a spear in his hand, and followed the Israelite into the tent. He drove the spear into both of them, right through the Israelite man and into the woman's stomach. Then the plague against the Israelites was stopped. But those who died in the plague numbered 24,000. 24,000. So I guess there was a plague at this point. The Lord's anger burned against them, right? Because of this. So the Lord said to Moses, look, you need to take these guys out. You need to kill them. And we need to make an example of them. So Moses goes out to the Israel's judges, so the tribe leaders. Each of you must put to death those of your people who have yoked themselves to Baal. So I guess while they're all talking, hey, look, there's assembly, he's got the guys together. It's kind of a clear meeting area, the town center, and they're talking. And all of a sudden, he looks in the corner of his eye and he sees this man, this Israelite man coming around, and he's probably got this woman. They're running hand in hand. They run into the tent, all cutesy, like, let's go in here and do something. And then Phinehas is an absolute unit here. Just look, quietly, doesn't say anything, just watches the whole thing, quietly walks over, picks up a spear, walks into the camp. And from there was introduced pegging, apparently. Right through the man and the woman. Whew. That'll do it. Hey, the plague against the Israelites was stopped. Good on Phinehas, right? Good on Phinehas, because we don't see a lot of actions from people that aren't Moses, Aaron, Caleb, and Joshua. Just do things that are pretty righteous and basically taking a very decisive stand. But he does that, and the plague stops. But those who died in the plague numbered 24,000. My assumption here is those 24,000 were all people who were partaking in all of this Midianite business. Probably, maybe, who knows? Maybe he did it in the form of a sexually transmitted disease or something like that. Gonorrhea until you die. The Lord said to Moses, Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, has turned my anger away from the Israelites. Man, if I'm Phinehas, man, I'm having to try to control my my ego right now. Since he was zealous for my honor among them as I am, I did not put an end to them in my zeal. Therefore, tell him I am making my covenant of peace with him. He and his descendants will have a covenant of a lasting priesthood because he was zealous in the honor of his God and made atonement for the Israelites. That's something to look into. The line of Phinehas and how his line went. The name of the Israelite who was killed with the Midianite woman was Zimri, son of Zalu, a leader of a Simeonite family. And the name of the Midianite woman who was put to death was Cosby. It's called Cosby. Just makes more sense here. Daughter of Zzzzz, a tribal chief of a Midianite family. Ooh. So we've got an Israelite leader. Or the son of a leader, because it's not very clear. Zimri, son of Zalu, the leader of a Simeonite family. So the leader of son of the leader getting impaled while doing the deed with the daughter of a tribal chieftain. The Lord said to Moses, "Treat the Midianites as enemies and kill them. They treated you as enemies when they deceived you in the Peor incident involving their sister Cosby, the daughter of a Midianite leader, the woman who was killed when the plague came as a result of that incident." Well, yeah, no, they are enemies. If somebody is trying to turn you away from God in an effort to worship demons, they're not your friends, and they're clearly not a neutral party. No, that's an enemy. That's an unfriendly act in the diplomatic jargon. An unfriendly act. So a second census, because of course we're going to do this. It's numbers, guys. Numbers. Of course, chapters like this are going to pop up. We will skim through this. After the plague, the Lord said to Moses and Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, take a census of the whole Israelite community by families, all those 20 years old or more who are able to serve in the army of Israel. So on the plains of Moab, by the Jordan, across from Jericho, Moses and Eleazar the priest spoke with them and said, take a census of the men 20 years old or more, as the Lord commanded Moses. So they need a second census. A lot of folks have died. A lot of folks have been cut off. A lot of folks have been run into. We've had some battles, and we've had some people screwing around, like those 24,000. So they need another census. They need to take stock in what's going on. And plus, look, they've been walking around for a little while. Maybe some of the kids have aged up into the 20-year-old men of fighting age. These were the Israelites who came out of Egypt. The descendants of Reuben, the firstborn of son of Israel, were through Hanok, the Hanokite clan, the Paluite clan, the Hezronite clan, the Carmite clan. These were the clans of Reuben, whose numbers were 43,730. Men of fighting age. Remember, that's just men of fighting age. So we've got women and children, elders, and older folks. The son of Palu was Eliab, and the sons of Eliab were Demuel, Dathan, and Abiram. The same Dathan and Abiram were the community officials who rebelled against Moses and Aaron, who were among Korah's followers when they rebelled against the Lord. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them along with Korah, whose followers died when the fire devoured the 250 men, and they served as a warning sign. The line of Korah, however, did not die out. The descendants of Simeon by their clans were the Nemulite clan, the Jaminite clan, the Jachinite clan, the Zerahite clan, the Shaulite clan. Man. These were the clans of Simeon, whose numbers were 22,200. Yeah, they lost a few people because Simeon's not doing so well in the faithfulness department. The descendants of Gad by their clans were the Zephonite clan, the Haggite clan, the Shunite clan, the Oznite clan, the Arite clan, the Erodite clan, and the Aralite clan. These were the clans of Gad, those numbered were 40,500. Er and Odin were the sons of Judah, but they died in Canaan. R.I.P. in peace, I guess. The descendants of Judah by their clans were the Shilonite clan, the Perizzite clan. Aren't there other parasites? The parasites aren't they? Whatever. The Shilonite clan, the Perizzite clan, the Zerahite. I don't like that H being in there. The Zerahite clan, maybe. The descendants of Perez was the Hezronite clan, the Hamulite clan. Those were the clans of Judah. Those numbered were 76,500. Pretty sizable considered. It's a lot of clans. Yeah, we're not even all the way through. We're good. The descendants of Issachar by their clans were a Tolanite clan, Puite clan, Jashubite clan, the Shimronite clan. Those were the clans of Issachar. Those were numbered at 64,300. Okay. Issachar's doing pretty well too. Judah's got a lot of folks. Judah's pretty based. Judah's clan's pretty based. The descendants of Zebulun by their clans were the Saradite clan, the Elonite clan, and the Jalilite clan. Those were the clans of Zebulun. Those numbered were 60,500. Right? Pretty sizable. The descendants of Joseph by their clans through Manasseh and Ephraim were the descendants of Manasseh, the Machirite clan, and the Gileadite clan. Those were the descendants of Gilead, Lezerite clan, the Helakite clan, the Azraelite clan, the Shechemite clan, the Shemedite clan. What is going on here with these names? The Heiferite clan. Sounds like a clan of cows. Zelophehad, son of Heifer, had no sons. He had only daughters whose names were Mala, Noah, Hogla, Milcah, and Tirzah. These were the clans of Manasseh, those numbered were 52,700. It should be less because their names are so hard to say. The descendants of Ephraim by their clans: Shuthelahite clan, Becherite clan, Tahanite clan, Aaronite clan. These were the clans of Ephraim. Those numbered were 32,500. These were the descendants of Joseph by their clan. So all in all, a little bit over 80,000 if you want to count it all under Joseph. The descendants of Benjamin by their clan were through the Belite clan, the Ashbelite clan, Ahiramite clan, Shuphamite clan, Huphamite clan, Ardite clan, Namite clan, or Naamite clan. Those are the clans of Benjamin, whose numbers were 45,600. And the descendants of Dan by their clans: Shuhamite clan. I feel like Shuhamite, not Shuphamite. The Shuhamite clan. These were the clans of Dan. Have literally only one clan. But man, there's a lot of them. All of them were Shuhamite clans, and those were numbered 64,400. Just call it the clan of Dan. Just call them Danites. The descendants of Asher by their clans were Imnite clan, the Ishvite clan, and the Berite clan. Thank you, Asher, for being simple. The Heberite clan, Malchielite clan. Asher had a daughter named Sarah. Okay. That was important somehow. These were the clans of Asher. Those numbered were 53,400. The descendants of Naphtali: the Jazzeelite clan, the Gunite clan, Jezerite clan, Shilamite clan. Those are the clans of Naphtali. Those numbered were 45,400. The total number of men in Israel was 601,730. All right. So we've got some of them. We're well under 1 million. But again, just men of fighting age. You can at least triple that number is probably the total people massing around there. So let's call it 1.8 million running around. The Lord said to Moses, "The land is to be allotted to them as an inheritance based on the number of names. To a larger group, give a larger inheritance, and to a smaller group, a smaller one. Each is to receive its inheritance according to the number of those listed. Be sure that the land is distributed by lot. What each group inherits will be according to the names for its ancestral tribe. Each inheritance is to be distributed by lot among the larger and smaller groups." These were the Levites who were counted by their clan: the Gershonite clan, the Kohathite clan, Merarite clan, the Libnite clan, Hebronite clan, Maalite clan, Mushite clan, Korite clan. Kohath was the forefather of Amram. The name of Amram's wife was Jochebed. Amram is also the name of a really awesome missile too. Air-to-air missile. Amram. The name of Amram's wife was Jochebed, a descendant of Levi, who was born to the Levites in Israel. To Amram, she bore Aaron, Moses, and their sister Miriam. There we go. Oh, okay. Aaron was the father of Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. But Nobab and Abihu died when they made an offering before the Lord at an unauthorized fire. God says only he can prevent unauthorized fires. And he prevented them by preventing Nadab and Abihu from living. All of the male Levites a month old or more numbered 23,000. They were not counted along with the other Israelites because they received no inheritance among them. These are the ones counted by Moses and Eleazar the priest when they counted the Israelites on the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho. Not one of them was among those counted by Moses and Aaron the priest when they counted the Israelites in the desert of Sinai. For the Lord had told those Israelites they would surely die in the wilderness, and not one of them was left except Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, son of Nun. Oh, okay. So maybe we're. So this sounds like they did a survey of all those who were going to be able to go into Israel, the promised land. It's an interesting read right there. So it sounds like they're getting ready. They're preparing, right? Zelophehad's daughters. This is actually a pretty good. This is actually a pretty good chapter right here. This is a good little segment of chapter 27. The daughters of Zelophehad, son of Hepher, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, belonged to the clans of Manasseh, son of Joseph. Of course, we know this, right? The names of the daughters were Mala, Noah, Hogla, Milcah, and Tirzah. We just read about them in the last chapter. They came forward and stood before Moses, Eleazar the priest, the leaders, and the whole assembly at the entrance to the tent of meeting, and said, Our father died in the wilderness. He was not among Korah's followers who banded together against the Lord, but he died for his own sin and left no sons. Why should our father's name disappear from his clan because he had no son? Give us property among our father's relatives. Okay, look, he didn't bear a son, but he's an important guy, head of the tribe. We don't want to lose our tribe because of this. So Moses brought their case before the Lord, and the Lord said to him, What Zelophehad's daughters are saying is right. You must certainly give them property as an inheritance among their father's relatives, and give their father's inheritance to them. So, again, we're not treating women as secondhand citizens here. They deserve something. Say to the Israelites, if a man dies and leaves no son, give his inheritance to his daughter. If he has no daughter, give his inheritance to his brothers. If he has no brothers, give his inheritance to his father's brothers. If his father had no brothers, give his inheritance to the nearest relative in his clans, that he may possess it. This is to have the force of law for the Israelites, as the Lord commanded Moses. There we go. Look, men are the leaders. That's where we stand in the society that God set for us. And so we get the first inheritance because, again, we're the leaders. We're the deciders, arbiters of the direction of the tribe. But if there's none of us around, that doesn't mean give it to somebody else who's a man. That means it stays within the tribe. And if the women are in charge of the tribe, or the only ones left in the tribe, they get the inheritance. So that's a very important thing. Joshua to succeed Moses. I love reading about this. Then the Lord said to Moses, Go up this mountain into the Abarim range, and see the land I have given for the Israelites. After you have seen it, you too will be gathered to your people, as your brother Aaron was. For when the community rebelled at the waters in the desert of Zin, both of you disobeyed my command to honor me as holy before their eyes. These were the waters of Meribah Kadesh in the desert of Zin, which we read about last week. Moses said to the Lord, May the Lord, the God who gives breath to all living things, appoint someone over this community to go out and come in before them, one who will lead them out and bring them in, so that the Lord's people will not be like sheep without a shepherd. Sheep without a shepherd. So the Lord said to Moses, Take Joshua, son of Nun, a man in whom the spirit. Hold on. I'm going to do this right, justice. This line justice. Take Joshua, son of Nun, a man in whom is the spirit of leadership, and lay your hand on him. Have him stand before Eleazar the priest and the entire assembly, and commission him in their presence. Give him some of your authority, so the whole Israelite community will obey him. He is to stand before Eleazar the priest, who will obtain decisions for him by inquiring of the Urim before the Lord. At his command, he and the entire community of the Israelites will go out, and at his command, they will come in. Moses did as the Lord commanded him. He took Josh and had him stand before Eleazar the priest and the whole assembly. Then he laid his hands on him and commissioned him as the Lord instructed through Moses. Now, Joshua is a great man. Joshua's better than me. All right. Joshua's good. If it's me, I'm telling Moses, don't pick me. I don't want this job at all. Look, I've sat here and watched you go through plague upon sign, upon great feat, upon blessing, upon communion with the Lord God. And these people have done nothing but treat you like straight garbage. I don't even understand why they're hanging out with you, why they're following you. Sometimes they don't even do that. Man, are you going to lead me as the next version of you? No, miss me with that. I don't want any part of that. Let these folks just rot. But Joshua's a better guy than me. Joshua's going to take control of them. And here's the thing. We're talking about putting hands on him and doing these things. These are things that the Christian community still does when it's talking about bringing in new leaders within the church. We do it with pastors. We do it with elders. We do it with deacons. We do it with ministers of various things. We still put our hands on people. We still pray to God. This is all hearkening back to this time and other times in the Old Testament where this is done. Putting hands on them and letting whatever gifts we have, maybe just fill them with the ability to do their jobs. It's happened to me. I've been prayed over. I've had the elders' hands on me when they made me a deacon. It's a very special experience. It's just, and I feel the weight of responsibility and expectation upon me. And I just hope that I do as good of a job as I can doing what I do, whether it's this or whether it's walking around church, trying to welcome and minister to people as needed and serve how I can. I'm not always going to get it right. I'm going to get it wrong a lot, but my hope is that I do much more good than harm. And I feel like I am. But look, Joshua's got a tough go of it. And what I think part of this is when Moses hit that rock, I think he's doing it out of frustration. I think it's easily done out of frustration. He's sick and tired of these people treating him like this. He wants to show them something forceful, and that's not what God wanted. God sees that Moses loses his cool. God decides to punish him, but he punishes him in the way that I think that he is very telling of God's just special love for Moses. Look, I'm going to gather you. You're not going to see the promised land, right? I'm going to gather you up to us into heaven now or soon, before then. What God is doing is removing Moses from a whole lot more problems. He's taken him up. The Israelites are not going to be his problem anymore. He can see them. The last thing Moses gets to see is his people getting ready to go into the promised land. And that was his mission. He gets to see his mission fulfilled. He doesn't get to be part of the mission fulfilled. He gets to see the mission fulfilled. And so doing that, he can rest easy that he did his job. He did what God wanted him to do. Very few mistakes along the way, showing unnatural courage, supernatural patience, and the ability to not just commune with God, but also to advocate for the Israelites to God in a way that God wanted to see somebody do. Moses is the great hope of the Israelite community. Without Moses, right, we've still got Joshua, we still got Caleb, we still have got guys like Phineas out there, and Aaron, screwed up as he is. But without Moses, you miss that just absolute righteousness and the ability to talk to God as a mature child would to his father. I would guess a mature adolescent would do with his father. And God appreciates that. Moses does this. Moses is a man almost peerless. And if we there are many people in the Old Testament that we can respect, but Moses, he's way up there. Because while Abraham does this shows a ton of faith. Abraham's leading for the most part, small group, right? And everybody's in on the mission together for the most part. Same thing with Isaac, same thing with Jacob. It's a little bit more complicated with Jacob. Joseph's doing his thing, but Moses does this with people who are supposed to be friendly to them, but are instead hostile to him. And not just hostile to him, but also to God. And he has got to figure some way to get these people to the whole promised land without God killing all of them. What does he do? He gets the vast majority of them to the promised land, or at least at the promised land. And he gets to see a great multitude, including his adjutant, Joshua, into the promised land. And he has to feel good about that. And you know what? God's proud of him too. And we haven't gotten to that part yet because we still got some more stuff that Moses isn't done yet. We still got a lot of more words from Moses. But God is taking Moses away so that God doesn't get to see, or that Moses doesn't have to be there on the ground for when the Israelites get the promised land and then immediately proceed to screw up, because that's what Israelites do. And it makes you wonder how bad the rest of the world was when this is the chosen people. Anyway, we'll talk some more maybe tomorrow. I think part of what I wanted to talk about was the rehashing of the Catholic consecration of the world and what our thoughts were. Maybe I'll get Joel on at some point to kind of give us his thoughts, because me, him, and Raph were conversing about it. I tuned in for some of it. I didn't understand some of it, but the first things that hit me were stuff that he was thinking too. So I was at least on some level picking up things in the way that Catholics expect it to be understood. With that said, everybody, thank you for tuning in tonight. If you stuck around like Fig, thank you for waiting. Even though it was I was late. I will not be late tomorrow night. At least that's my goal. And I will catch y'all later. In the meantime, stay safe. Good night, and God bless.